to WSOT TV City Talk. So glad that you are joining us today. We have a great show lined up for you. I'm going to be joined here in a little bit with the Chief of Staff for the City of Marion. His name is Mike Flynn, and he's going to be answering all of your questions about the City of Marion. And then we are going to be joined later in the show by Fire Chief Jeff Williams, and we have an incredible story that we're going to share with you about the heroism of some of our local firefighters. Shots were fired, you had a victim on the ground, but they didn't think twice about rushing into the rescue. Now, I want to let you know that this show is all about the City of Marion, and what we talk about on the show is the questions and the comments that you send in, and you can do that a couple of different ways. You can call the message line, it's a local number, 765-536-WSOT, and that translates into 765-536-9768. And you can go to the show website, ctmarion.com. You can submit your questions online there, and you can even see archived episodes. If you would like to watch something that we have said on this show or on a previous show, you can go back and check it all out there. Now, I am going to jump right into it because we have a lot of questions that we got to get to. And with me now is Chief of Staff Mike Flynn. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day to come onto the show.
Not a problem.
But we have some great questions for you.
Great.
So let me jump right into it. The very first one that I have, this came in on our message line, that 536-WSOT. And they would like to know, it says, how much do we pay the city to run the buses for the 1812? So I'm assuming they're referencing the Mississinawa Battle of 1812 reenactment.
Right, that we just completed. Of course, there is no cost to ride the bus. That is free of charge to everyone who attends. And the only cost to the City of Marion is that of the salary of the bus driver and the fuel used to transport back and forth. So we feel it's a good venture for us and a good quality of life event.
I think so, definitely. And I also would have to point out, I recall at some point in time there was some grant money that made the buses free, made it so that the people could ride the buses for free. Is that something we're still operating under?
Yes, actually our transportation system is funded by both federal and state monies, and then the city picks up about 10% of the funding. We just, as a matter of fact, received 4 new buses that we'll be putting into service very shortly with video capability, so that kind of protect the driver and protect the passengers as well.
That's wonderful.
Yes.
That's good news to hear. So maybe you have any idea when those are going to be in service?
Well, we're hoping to get them marked up and the video cameras in within the month, so you should see them on the street.
Exciting. So we'll keep our eyes open for that, right? All right. Well, you know, I also, because the 1812 is such a big event for our community, and it really does help our local economy as well, I think I would be remiss if I didn't bring up another big event that's coming up, and that is the Walkway of Lights Christmas Parade. That is coming up very soon.
Yes.
Do you happen to know the dates for that?
The date on that, I am not.
I have them for you.
Do you? I appreciate that.
Because I knew I was going to throw this at you, and you would probably not be expecting it. That's okay. I went ahead and did some research. November the 18th is going to be the day of the parade. So if you would like to enter a float into the parade, you can do so, but you have to do it by November the 3rd. And they need to make sure anybody interested needs to call down to City Hall and talk to Julie Fauser. And what is the number for City Hall?
662-9931.
662-9931. So you'll want to call down there. Now, I understand, Mike, that this is a free event, that anybody that wants to enter in a float, it's free to do so.
Yes.
I believe they just have to have volunteers that
Correct.
help make sure that they man the float and help keep it on track and kind of spot and make sure everybody's safe along the parade route.
That's all that's required.
Yeah, and it's a nighttime parade. For those of you who may not be aware what we're talking about, we have this incredible parade that happens every year annually, and it kind of kicks off the lighting of our big Walkway of Lights park event, and the floats all have to be lighted because it's a nighttime parade, correct?
Right.
Because that parade that happens again on November the 18th, it starts at 7 p.m. So I want to make sure anybody interested that you can get yourself registered, and so call and talk to Julie Fauser, 662-9931. Now I have another question for you. Okay, I do not have a name. I'm sorry you didn't give me a name, but it came in on our message line, 536-WSOT. And that question is, are we done with the skip patching on the roads before winter? I noticed that there are a lot of roads that still need some attention.
Absolutely. No, we are not done yet with the skip patching. We plan to continue that as long as we're able to get what they call hot mix. As long as that is available, we will continue to do the skip patching as much as we can until the weather prevents us from shutting down the operation.
Well, that's good to know.
Yes.
I also know that there's some money that we received, the city, I consider myself we because I live here.
Yes.
But it was $531,000,
That's right. That's right. Of road funding. The mayor and I actually last week went over to Kokomo and met with the governor, and were presented a rather large check that we were anxious to get. So as a result of receiving that, we were able to complete the Western project that we had to put on hold because of lack of funding.
Oh.
So if you've been out in that area, you'll notice that Western is currently being worked on. We have most
Western
of the
Avenue?
Western Avenue, right? We have most of the ADA intersection ramps installed. That has to be the first process. And so you will start seeing some of the milling and then the asphalt being laid here very shortly.
So everything from 16th Street all the way up to Kim Road.
That's correct.
And that's on Western Avenue. That's getting completely repaved, and you're putting in new handicap ramps as well.
That's right.
That is wonderful news for a lot of folks, I'm sure, who utilize that road.
Yes.
So wonderful. And also nice to know they're not done yet. So, hey, just hold on. I bet they're going to get to your area pretty soon. All right, so the next question that I have for you, this is from a gentleman named Rick. Hi, Rick. Thank you for watching the show. And he would like to know if there is any way that we could keep City Hall open longer, because some people have to work and they can't get in to do business before City Hall closes. And I believe you guys close at 4 o'clock, correct?
That's correct, yeah. Unfortunately, I don't know how we would be able to do that with the limited staffing that we have, and of course the salaries that we pay for the 37.5-hour work week. Depending on what the situation were, I'm sure if there was a situation that he needed to come in for a specific issue, we'd be more than happy to try to accommodate him, providing that it wasn't going to create an undue burden on our employee.
You know, just a thought here, is there a possibility where maybe, I think of like the B&B, where they have one day where they open a little bit later so that they stay open later in the day? Maybe would there be a possibility that you could pick one day out of the week that people know that's the late day?
Sure, we could look at that. Of course, what we're then going to hear from are the people who wanted to be in on Thursday morning and we weren't there for the accessibility. So probably be better if there was a specific need, they could call and try to work that out with the department.
Okay.
And we could try to accommodate him as best we can.
Okay, well, Rick, I hope that was able to give you some insight on the situation with the hours at City Hall. But I thank you so much for taking the time to call in to the show. Now, I do have another question for you, and this has to do with the park system. I'm going to read it here directly. And again, I'm sorry, I don't have your name, and that's okay, because when you call in, you can call in 24 hours a day, and you don't have to leave your name. But if you do, I'm going to make sure to give you a shout out on the show. And I want to make sure that you know, when you call in to our message line, the 536 WSOT, which is 536-9768, you can text that number too. So maybe you're in a hurry and you don't want to take the time to make the phone call. Well, you can just fire off a text real quick, and it's 24 hours a day. So it doesn't matter when you're watching the show, because I know we do repeat the show throughout the week, and sometimes it's overnight. So someone might not be awake at 2 in the morning to take your call, but that's okay. You can still leave your message with us. So Mike, I don't know if it's a he, I'm sorry, I just made an assumption there, I shouldn't have. Our viewer would like to know about basketball courts around the VA and the parks. Are we putting any attention into those? It seems like we spend a lot on the big park, which I believe they're referencing Mater Park.
Sure.
And our other parks then seem to be in bad condition. So wondering, first off, about the basketball courts around the VA.
Yes, they are being constantly monitored. Our citywide maintenance actually performs the service of keeping those mowed and in condition. So when their employees come out to take care of the park, if they notice some type of defect in some of the equipment, that is then brought back, given to the Parks Department, and we make a schedule up to come out and start addressing those. And you're absolutely right, we do spend a lot of time and money on the larger parks, such as the Mater Park and Ballard Field. Of course, that is where the largest volume of land that we have. So that's quite a task for our employees to, kind of like the Golden Gate Bridge, you know, they paint, and by the time they get to the end, it's time to come back and start over.
But you just had something exciting happen with Barnes Park.
Yes, we did.
And it was a collaborative effort between the Garfield Association and Hands of Hope, which is the Division of Family Services. Right. Share with us a little bit about that. We got about 60 seconds or so.
Okay, excellent project. As you indicated, the Neighborhood Association contacted the city, and with the representative of Linda Wilk, we got together. We were able to provide some equipment to them. They provided some labor and funding. Indiana Wesleyan University played a part. The Kenwell Academy played a part. It was a cooperative effort amongst the community. And if you ever get a chance to go by Barnes Park, they have transformed that into a wonderful location. And we'd like to see that type of cooperation continue throughout the community.
We really would. And Barnes Park is located at the intersection of 6th Street and East Street. For those of you who don't know, complete revitalization. It's really beautiful. You need to go check it out. And I have about 10 seconds. Stealth Trailers, brand new business in this community in Marion, bringing in approximately 115 jobs over the course of time. What are we at? Are they moved in yet?
They are in. They are ready to begin production very shortly. The day of their opening, they were able to actually do interviews, filled their warehouse and manufacturing staff. Received a plant manager, a local man, Brad
Powell.
So we were very pleased. They have hired a lot of local citizens, and we think that they're going to be a tremendous asset to the community.
I think so too, and a great employment opportunity for you as well. Well, we got to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to have Fire Chief Jeff Williams on with us, and we'll be talking about how the heroism of our local firefighters saved a life in a very traumatic situation. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with some more WSOT City Talk in just a moment.
WSOT TV, North Central Indiana and Western Ohio's source for family programming you can trust.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
Welcome back to WSOT TV City Talk. So glad that you are joining us today. And as promised, I have a very special guest with me. His name is Jeff Williams, and he is the fire chief for the city of Marion. And wow, do we have an incredible story of heroism for you to hear about. But first, I want to remind you that this show is all about the city of Marion, and we talk about the questions and the comments that you send in. So I want to make sure that you, if you're watching the show and something that we're talking about here, you want to make a comment on that, call into our message line. It's a local number, 765-536-WSOT. You can also translate that into 765-536-9768. Or go to the show website, ctmarion.com. Submit your questions online there. Now, Chief Williams, I welcome you to the show.
Thank you.
And always a delight to have you join us. And wow, do we have an incredible story to share with our viewers today about Fire Team 6, who put themselves at risk of personal harm. Shots had been fired. There's a victim on the ground, and the police are trying to locate the shooter. Tell us what happens.
Last September, we had
So this was just a few weeks back?
Yeah, an individual got shot at Colonial and Home. Station 6 responded to that incident. They found the patient on the ground. He had a gunshot wound in the femoral area. They applied pressure to that and started an airway, helped him breathe. A couple minutes later, the ambulance got there. They loaded him up in the truck and started doing an IV. They called for a helicopter to come and pick him up. Our crew then set up a landing zone for the helicopter, and they continued working with him. He ended up coding in the back of the ambulance. No heartbeat, no nothing, stopped breathing. They started doing CPR on him, got him stable, took him to Marion General Hospital, then they flew him out in the helicopter from there.
Wow. And I understand they saved his life. He was able to undergo some surgeries, and it was a very close call for this particular individual. But the heroism and the bravery that these firefighters they demonstrated, they put themselves in harm's way because, as I understand it, the police officers had not secured the shooter. They didn't know where the shooter was.
Not at that time. They didn't know. Our guys rushed in. They knew they had a life to save, so they just did what we do and saved his life.
And can you share with us the names of the 4 firefighters that were there that day?
Captain Jordan Lamb, Tharis Jones, Stevie Johnson, and Chad Jenkins.
Very good. Well, gentlemen, I want to say a great big thank you to you. I know it's a very selfless act to put yourself out there in harm's way to save another person. So I want to give you a great big congratulations, and I'm sure all in the community are thankful to know that you are out there keeping a safe watch over all of us. Now, Fire Chief Williams, I want to bring to your attention something that we talked about last October here on the show because you joined us. And before I do that, I want to point out something. We have this really neat book here. This is something that you have put together for the month of October. And why the month of October?
The month of October is our Fire Prevention Week. Back in 1920, I think 23, President Calvin Coolidge declared this week National Fire Prevention Week, and that was to commemorate the Great Chicago Fire of 1871.
So now we want to raise awareness so we know that people are safe. And this is an incredible resource that has been put together for children and their families. And this is something that's free to you if you would like to get one. And we have a lot of local sponsors that help make this possible, correct?
Yes, we went out and asked, and they came through for us.
And there's a DVD in here, and there's all kinds of very helpful information inside. And there's pictures, there's games, there's activities, things that kids can do, and parents that you can take the time to help your children understand a little bit more about fire safety. And I want to share with you a real quick story that happened to me personally. This happened ironically on October the 1st. Now, Chief Williams, we had talked about fire safety awareness last October, and after I had you on the show, I thought, you know what, I better make sure that my home is safe. And so I went and I upgraded all of my smoke detectors, and I got a whole bunch more than what I had before, you know, the one that's, you know, we used to have just in the kitchen and the garage. But I thought I'm going to put one where all of my major appliances are and anywhere that I have a bunch of electrical stuff plugged in. And it saved our home.
Wow.
October the 1st, just a few days back, it was 3:30 in the morning. I don't know how many of you ever jump up in the middle of the night, you have the bathroom trip, right? Well, what about throwing a load of laundry in, right? So in the washing machine it goes, right? And the plan is you wake up in the morning and throw it in the dryer, so I'm kind of multitasking if I'm up at 3:30, right? Right? So what happens if the washing machine motor, this isn't the dryer, it's the motor in the washing machine, it caught fire. Do you know how much time it took for that to happen? 4 minutes.
4 minutes, wow.
Filled the back half of my home with smoke, flames, everything you don't want to have in your home at 3:30 in the morning. But because we had everything in place in advance, we had the smoke detectors that I had put in there because of what we had talked about on the show last year. We had also upgraded our fire extinguishers, and we had them spread out. And you know what I learned? 3 fire extinguishers is not enough. You think it's going to, especially if you have a big, large one. It wasn't enough. We were just able to get the thing under control, so it was smoldering, and we were able to get out of the house, and we used a water hose and everything. But whole house now filled with smoke. We've had to redo electrical, all of that, repair everything that has to go into it. But the fact is, it was yes, an expense and something that you don't want to have, but it could have been so much worse had we not thought to listen to your advice. So I want to say thank you, and I want to stress the importance of parents getting a copy of this. Now, tell me, what is the goal of this book? Or is this about fire escape plans, or what is the goal?
It actually has a little bit of everything. It has it teaches about good fire, bad fire, some fire safety rules, an escape plan, calling 911, and in case of a fire, what to do. So it covers a wide variety of different topics.
So if parents would like to get a copy of this, I know that you have several firefighters that are going into schools, but if a child is not of school age yet, and parents would like to get a copy of this in their home, how would they go about getting a hold of one of these?
We are on the 3rd floor of City Hall. You can give us a call, 668-4474. We're there from 8 to 4. Just come up and see us then, and we can get you a copy.
Okay, good. Well, we have a few minutes. We want to talk a little bit more about fire prevention. And so I want to know, tell us a little bit about the idea of an escape plan. How important is that?
Well, it's pretty important. Most kids that we've seen in the past will hide. We want to teach them to stay low, crawl. There's more than one exit in your home. There might be a front door and a back door. And also think about maybe a window. Take out a window in a bedroom to get out of that. We want to make sure that the kids get out as soon as possible.
Right. Tell me also, if there's a fire, as a parent, what should I tell them to do?
Get out. Make sure that your kids tell you that if there's a fire somewhere in the house as soon as possible. Make sure you get outside, call 911 from outside, from either your cell phone or a neighbor's phone.
Is it important to have like a special meeting place?
Absolutely.
Designated?
Yeah. As part of the escape plan, make sure that you have a place to go, possibly a mailbox or maybe a neighbor that you guys trust.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
You think about mailboxes, they're typically far enough away from the home and everybody knows where they are. So that's
maybe
smart.
you have a flagpole or
edge of the driveway,
end of the
something
driveway.
like that. Okay, so is there anything that parents should do?
Check your smoke detectors.
Yes,
Check them.
Can't stress that enough.
At least every month.
Yeah.
Check those. Make sure you get your candles, your lighters, your matches, put them up, get them out of the reach of children, and make sure that you have batteries for them. I mean, we have extra smoke detectors at City Hall, and we have extra batteries too. So if anybody's out there that needs any of this, just give us a call or come up to City Hall, and we'll get you taken care of.
I want to stress what you just said about checking the smoke detectors every month. This is going to sound really silly, and I actually listen to you. I listen to your advice, and we do check our smoke detectors every month. And I've shared with you that I have them sprinkled throughout the house. Well, they have a very distinct tone or sound that they make. And ironically, you don't think about it. 3:30 in the morning, you're not really awake. And when you aren't thinking straight and you're not alert, you hear the sound and you think, what is that sound? I think I had to hear the alarm. It beeped a good 4 times before I realized, oh my gracious, that's the smoke alarm. So I want to encourage you all, take his advice, really do check it once a month, because you're also, and do it at a time, I think I'm going to recommend, do it at a time when everybody's home, because that is something that will get everybody used to listening to that sound and they'll recognize it more quickly. So we just have about 2 minutes here, and I want to ask you, the theme for 2017 is Fire Prevention Week. Every second counts. Plan 2 ways out.
Yep, plan 2 ways out, just like we said earlier on your escape plan. Look for a window, a door, front door, back door. Make sure that your children and even grown-ups know how to get out of a house if there was a blocked hallway.
Right, especially if you have somebody who is mobility challenged,
Yes.
maybe you have an aged parent or somebody in your home who, you don't think about it, they can't run out of that house very quickly. So you're going to have a plan in place to help them get out. Maybe even put a fire extinguisher in their bedroom so they've got a little something too, right?
Yep.
So, and that was another thing I learned. Make sure you put your fire extinguishers throughout the house in many different places, because if there's a fire there that's blocking your path to get to, you've got to have another one somewhere or get out. Not that you probably don't recommend everybody trying to take on a fire themselves. But,
no, get out, call for help.
Yeah, thankfully we were all adults, so we were able to kind of contend with it okay. Well, I want to thank you, Chief Williams, so much for taking the time to come on the show today. And I want to encourage everybody to make sure that if your child doesn't already have one of these, if you have children, make sure you call. What's the phone number down to City Hall?
Area code 765-668-4474.
668-4474. You can call or you can stop by down to City Hall and get one of these books. They're such a valuable resource. I can't stress to you how much prevention, the little bit of measures that you take goes a really long way. That's my own personal testimony. So I want to thank you again for coming on. And you know what? I have another guest. Tom Luzader with Let My Light Shine. It is a local nonprofit that puts solar lights on veterans' graves, and we're going to talk with him here in just a minute, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with some more City Talk in just a moment.
Let My Light Shine program is a group of us that got together and we put the lights, the solar lights on the graves out at the VA. It's similar to what the Kennedy flame is that President Kennedy has at Arlington Cemetery. It's to duplicate that, to put a light on the veterans' graves or anybody that's buried out there. Anybody that served in the military, we want to put a light on their grave out there. We started this about 7 years ago. We put out 400 lights. We didn't know whether it was going to work or not, but we put the lights out, left in the afternoon, came back at night, and we were happy that we had 400 lights. So the next year we tried that, and we got a little bit more money donated to us. Since then, this is our 7th year. Last year we put out 7,000 lights. We hope to put out another 1,000 lights this year. And the way we can do that is by having people donate money to be able to get the lights. The lights cost $10 a piece. If you want to just donate $10, you can do that. We have a post office box. It says Let My Light Shine, post office box 1413, Marion, Indiana 46952. If you would like to put a light on a special person's grave, your relative's grave, you can request that. Or you can come out on October the 28th and help us put the lights on the grave, and you can put the light on the grave of your loved one. We've had several fundraisers. We have a roast beef dinner during the year. We have rummage sales during the year. But really what we live on is people giving us donations. We have a corporate sponsor, Lowe's in Marion here. They help us out real good with the lights, and they deliver them to us. We store the 7,000 lights in a storage shed, but every year we try to purchase more lights. This year we're intent, like I said, to purchase 1,000 new lights, and we would like to have you come out and help us put the lights on it. We have several volunteers. Last year we had a Cub Scout troop out there, and they were so happy. They were helping us put the lights in the graves. Before we could get the holes posted in, they were wanting to put the lights in the graves. So it was kind of neat to be able to see some young people out there, to be able to honor the people that have served in the military, the veterans out there. So it's on 38th Street out there by the VA. The big thing is taking them down. We take them down November the 18th. We are the only national cemetery to be able to have solar lights on the graves to be honored of the veterans. Our phone number is 664-2564. Our post office box is 1413, Marion, Indiana 46952.
Well, I want to say a great big thank you to Tom Luzader of Let My Light Shine. And if you want to check them out on Facebook, you can do that. Just look them up, Let My Light Shine. Also, great big thank you to Mike Flynn, Chief of Staff, for coming on to the show and answering our questions today, as well as Fire Chief Jeff Williams of the Marion Fire Department. I want to remind you that if you would like to get in on the action of donating to help restore Fire Station number 1 so that it can become a working station again. They're also going to use it as a training facility to train other firefighters. They have an organization set up here, Marion Professional Firefighters Fund. It's through the Community Foundation. You can donate online or you can call City Hall 662-9931. We're all out of time. Thanks so much for watching today's show. Stay tuned for some more quality family programming that you can trust right here on WSOT TV.